Hello, folks. Welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and we're going to be looking at cryptozoology versus ufology tonight. Various stories and stuff like that. We'll be having some fun. But first, let me go off and show off some artwork from my own upcoming graphic novel, Scumdogs. Okay? Here's my Extreme 90s cover. This cover I did to harken back to the comic books of the 90s. It looks pretty good. It has almost all of my characters in a big, huge battle. Now, Scumdogs, the name of my graphic novel, is a parody book. I parody the cartoons we all know and love when we were growing up, watching them on TV. The Scumdogs are supervillains that take over the world. See, they used to be pro athletes who used to be competing in sporting events held with superhuman monsters as the pro athletes. They're called scum and dogs because they traded in their humanity for money to become superhumanly powerful monsters to compete for in the Scumdog sports. So they did all of that for fame and glory. But what happens? So not exactly the nicest guys around because they gave up being human for money and stuff. But what happens when they get banned? What happens is they become supervillains out to take over the universe. I thought that was a good little story there to think of an idea to get them out there. So we have my main characters, Deathmug and Buick Starpoon. Deathmug is the purple guy with the metal mask, and Buick Starpoon is the guy with the pink pompadour hair. Notice the uniform he's wearing also. Everyone wearing a similar uniform is part of his team in the Space Forces. Now, Deathmug is an arrogant dictator who wants to rule the world, who will stop at nothing till he rules it. He's overbearing and he's overbearing and egocentric and complete and utter maniac. He's got various aspects of various villains from 80s cartoons. You can see in the way he looks. Like the villains of G.I. Joe, the leaders of Cobra. He looks very much like Cobra Commander. He's got a metal mask. Like Centauri's got gold on him. And he's purple like the Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. While his archenemy Buick Starpoon, the guy with the pink pompadour hair, he's a G.I. Joe parody. In fact, all of his team are G.I. Joe parodies, which means they each have a military specialty. Something in the military they're really good at. But he's also but Buick Starpoon's also a space opera hero parody as well. He's a parody of the space opera heroes, like Zap Brannigan or Captain Kirk from Star Trek. With him, Buzz Lightyear or Buck Rogers, those kinds of heroes. And his military specialty, by the way, is that he's a captain in the Space Forces. Now, the other members of his team you can see on this cover as well. This guy over here with the mohawk. This guy over here, his name is Roadhog. His military specialty is that he's an army guy. While this bald guy with the gun down here in the blue uniform, his name is Beach Pounder. His military specialty is that he's a Marine, just another Marine. While this guy back here in the red uniform, driving that tank and stuff, look at it, looks pretty good. His name is Blast Tank. His military specialty is that he's a heavy vehicle specialist, a tanker. You get the idea. Now, this is one of 3 variant covers you'll be able to back when Indiegogo goes live, so you have that as well. By the way, folks, hit that like button for me. It helps me fight the algorithm, so more people can see my videos. So, and the more people that do, the sooner my graphic novel will come out. As well as please hit that bell and hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications. And please go share this video on Twitter and Facebook. Here we have Girl Friday, another member of the Wild Rangers. That's the name of Buick Starpoon's team in the Space Forces. Girl Friday is Buick Starpoon's second in command. She was assigned to work under Buick Starpoon by her superiors in the Space Forces because while the Wild Rangers save the universe from the Scumdogs every day, they're also highly destructive morons who destroy everything in sight. So they assigned Girl Friday to work under Buick Starpoon to basically babysit him. But she hates him. She hates her job because she thinks her career in the military is over, basically with what they're having her do with, where she is now. That's Girl Friday. Here we have Deathmug's henchman. Because in all 80s cartoons, the main villain of the cartoon would have henchmen, would have henchmen, and they'd be total idiots. These are my idiots. The pink guy down here is Sloppy, and the Blue guy up here with the top hat is Murmouth. They're a parody of every henchman from an 80s cartoon. So they're idiots and they destroy everything they touch. They try to follow orders, but all they do is make everything worse. That's my characters right here. Here we have Hair Metal Doctor, another member of the Scumdogs. Hair Metal Doctor is a parody of Dr. Mindbender from G.I. Joe, a mad scientist. But my mad scientist here has been crossed over with a hair metal musician because I think that's awesome. He thinks of all the mad gadgets and machines the Scumdogs use to try and take over everything. And it looks pretty. He does it while rocking out. That's pretty awesome. Here we have Miss Breasty Mullins. Miss Breasty Mullins is a parody of the Baroness from G.I. Joe. The Baroness from G.I. Joe. But unlike the Baroness, she's a party girl who wants to have fun. She only became a villain because she wanted to have fun. Now, the Hair Metal Doctor pinup and the Miss Breasty Mullins pinup here will be included with other pinups in my graphic novel when you back it on Indiegogo. It's not out yet, folks. I'm working on the book, but when it's out, go and back it. All right, I did this. Let me exit out of these. Tonight, we're going to be looking at various ufology and cryptology where they clash. Well, these two scientific disciplines where people look at ufology but tend to not want to look at anything supernatural or anything to do with cryptids, while the cryptologists tend to do the same with anything to do with UFOs or supernatural. We'll be looking at various things. I've touched on this various stuff before, but I'll be looking at various stuff on this. Now, excuse me a moment. I'll be right back. Let me go over here. We'll also look at, let me see if I can get this up here. For some odd reason, can't get into UFO. That. All right. Let's go to Indiegogo real quick before we do anything else and look at some Indiegogos. Let me go over here. Oh, by the way, have you guys hit that like button for me? I have to do this first. We'll be talking. Here we are. Feel free to leave me a few chats. Final Boss has made 10,860 with 28 days left. Knife Hand Blind Spot has made 31,960 with 10 days left. That's pretty good. Let's look at Knife Hand Blind Spot real quick. The first solo Jawbreakers adventure. Knife Hand rescues the Jawbreakers from a castle. From a death, yeah. All right. Story. Knife Hand, a mutant ninja with the ability to generate energy blades from his hands that can cut through anything. As a boy, he was kidnapped and held for ransom, but his wealthy father refused to pay the kidnappers, so they sold him to a ninja clan. After years of brutal training, he stole the power of the Knife Hand and went AWOL, searching for his father to get revenge, but the ninja clan never stopped hunting him. So he joined the Jawbreakers in order to use them as a gang to protect him. His disdain for his teammates is unknown to them, but as much as he hates them, he needs them. So when the rest of them is kidnapped, it's up to him, Knife Hand, to rescue them. Looks pretty good. The artwork in this book looks really good. Looks like something from, as they themselves said, from Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, it does look like that, as well as basically based on G.I. Joe characters. Look at that. So there's that as well. I like what I'm seeing here. Look at this artwork. The content. Knife Hand, Blind Spot, a 22-page main story. Garrison, a 26-page backup story. Art gallery, mock-up covers, and page layouts. Looks pretty good. I love the art. Here's basically where this story came from. Look at the artwork, as well as Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Here's artwork for Garrison. What if G.I. Joe and Cobra teamed up to stop a terror attack by Al-Qaeda? Basically, Garrison is what happens when military units are basically not doing anything. They basically leave they don't have their weapons and stuff like that. But what happens when they basically do some training and stuff like that? But when military units are basically garrisoned at various places and stuff like that. they always don't have their weapons when they're on garrison duty, and so what happens when they get attacked by a terrorist cell? These two teams of people who hate each other basically have to work together in order to rescue their teammates. So we have Garrison here, which looks like a very good story. All right. I like what I'm seeing here. Here's some artwork for the book before it's finished. This alone looks pretty good. Look at this artwork that they did to basically show you the preliminary sketches and all that. It looks good, I have to say. That's Knife Hand, Blind Spot. We looked at the trailer yesterday. It cost a bit of time. We're already doing that. Go back it on Indiegogo. Let's look at Final Boss. When video games and comic books collide, this is what you get with this book. Short summary: when video games and comic books, you get Final Boss, the ultimate fighting game graphic novel. Final Boss, 90s action movie, video game inspired nod to classic over-the-top adventure stories with dynamic characters woven around a core story of a family history layered in secrets leading back to World War II and the discovery of an ancient temple. Created and written, book creator Tyler Kirkham, Venom Superman. Final Boss is a combination of all the things Tyler's passionate about: comic books, video games. Tyler's very first crowdfunding original graphic novel, first ever Indiegogo campaign, joined in helping create this world-building fighting game inspired book. Disgraced Special Forces operative Tommy Brazen discovers while fighting in an underground masked fighting league that he has inherited supernatural powers that run in his family based on stories his grandfather told him about how his family came to acquire these gifts. Tommy sets out to learn the truth about his powers and his heritage. Along the way, Tommy travels to a mystical island where competitors fight against gladiator-style bouts, ordered to inherit the powers of an ancient god of war. Crime lords, vigilantes, and more are vying for control of these powers in an Ascalian struggle and ultimately to become the final boss. Looks good. Look at the artwork. Looks good. You can, Kirkham, you can back this book for $25. That's pretty good. You have a choice of several different covers as well. So that's good as well, folks. Feel free to hit that like button for me because it helps me fight the algorithm, as well as please go share this video out on social media. Share it on Napoleon from the Machine. A megalomaniac must save the world from a global terrorist group with his extraordinary powers. Okay. Butch Cleaver 2. We actually have the Abductables 2, which has made $9,992. Work the Wizard 2 has made $12,285. Not bad. I like what I'm seeing here. Let's see. First Wave Cyberfrog action figures has made $259,805 with 23 days left. Not bad. All right. Let's take a look at this trailer. Yeah, by the way, you can back each of these action figures for, well, most of them you can get for $40. But you can also, but the big Bug Monsters action figure of the, well, it costs you $75. Yeah? Each of these, Heather Swan will cost you $40. Modern Cyberfrog, $40. 90 Cyberfrog, and the Wasp monster here will cost you $75 because it's bigger, but it looks pretty good. Let's take a look at this trailer.
When the monster you created comes back.
You mind if I tell you about my toy? I love this toy, the Modern Cyberfrog action figure. This is the Jewel, a protector of Earth. That is our Cyberfrog. Look at him. I love this toy. He has it within himself to turn back the Vespas, undoing the damage, the poisonous colonization of the Vespas. You can see that we've used this nice, super shiny chromium paint. You are going to love your Cyberfrog toy. The toes all bend like this, super flexible foot. People wanted an ankle rocker so that the foot can go back and forth. We did that as well. We added the ankle rocker. This is all of the articulation that's available for this toy. Now, if we get to $400,000, this is what you're getting. We've set this campaign up with stretch goals, a nice honeycomb stand display with articulated armor. This will get included with your toy. At $450,000, all of the toys get one. At $500,000, we're going to give your frog a total of 3 sets of hands. We've got them sculpted here. Gripping hands, and then he's got fists as well. Of course, there's also the additional chicken fist, which those people who signed up for the early email notifications list will be receiving. $600,000, I love this. Let's give your frog an extra swap out head with a toothy grimace. $700,000, this we have to get to. Let's give your frog a nasty bee-stung swap out head. Ouch, anyone have a band-aid? Look at this stinger right through the bottom part of his jaw. But your kid is going to love it. And by the way, these toys, we're going to put them through a process so that they're going to be okay for your kid. They're going to be rated for 14 and up. If you've got an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, we're going to make sure that these toys are okay for them. So at $800,000, and this is as far as we've gotten, $800,000, let's give your frog some firepower. If you remember Blood Honey, Cyberfrog hooks up with Chelson. She rapid evolves him just to show him a sample of his capabilities, and he grows a gigantic arm cannon. We've made that cannon. We've made that arm cannon as an accessory, and you will get that added to your package if we get to $800,000 for Cyberfrog. Amazing. Amazing.
All right, there was Cyberfrog action figures. Going back at them on Indiegogo, folks. Looks pretty good. Now, we were going to look at when ufology and cryptology basically fight each other. As we said, we'll be looking at this article here. We'll also be looking at other things where basically various, well, you know how for some odd reason these people can't get along. Basically, like classic scientists always have their own theories about this stuff. But even though they even go out and basically say there's no way that aliens and cryptids have anything to do with each other, anything to do with magic or anything like that. It's basically because they think that if regular people hear about that, if they think that all of this is somehow connected, if there are aliens out there, but they also use something like magic, well, then these people are worried that they'll just come off as morons. The same thing with ufology and cryptozoology with Bigfoot, with the stories of how Bigfoot seems to be related to UFOs, how people have seen them on big feet on freaking UFOs when they've been abducted or anything like that. So we'll be looking at those various things tonight. My previous article was on the subject of Bigfoot UFO connection. It's important to note, however, that Bigfoot is not the only cryptozoological creature that has been tied to aliens. Take, for example, the mysterious Dogman. There's no doubt that the leading researcher in the field of the Dogman, Linda Godfrey, and interestingly, Linda is a relevant story to tell about the Dogman, a story that ties the creatures to aliens. In 2005, Linda was contacted by a man, a military whistleblower, might say, who was an expert in the field of remote viewing. According to Linda, Edward Snowden's source, Edward, huh? The U.S. government has uncovered data suggesting that the werewolf, like Dogman, are a very ancient alien race that closely resembles an ancient deity of the underworld. Who might that be? Well, it's an ancient Egyptian deity. That's who. Linda's informant also discovered via remote viewing, it's Anubis, by the way, if you didn't know, that the Dogman can jump from location to location via portals or doorways in the fabric of space and time. We might say that's quite a story told to Linda. Moving on, between the nights of December 26 and 29, 1980, multiple extraordinary events of the UFO kind occurred within the Rendlesham Forest, Suffolk, England. They were events that involved military personnel from the nearby Royal Air Force base of Bindwaters and Woodbridge. Since that now long gone period, countless UFO Air Force personnel who were stationed in the area at the time have spoken out regarding their knowledge of a small triangular-shaped object that was seen maneuvering in the forest. Others described seeing in the dark woods almost ghostly extraterrestrial-type beings of short size with eerie feline-like eyes. Strange and unknown lights were seen dancing around the night skies, circling both the forest and the twin military facilities. There were stories that the amazing movements of the UFOs were caught on radar. There is, however, something else, a strange creature seen in the very same forest. All right. Rendlesham Forest, as well as Suffolk locales in West Waring and Bilson is reportedly home to something equally strange, maybe even more so than a vehicle and creatures from another world. It's a beast that locally has come to be known as the monkey shrug, as a shurg, Okay, let's call it the monkey. Described as being bizarre. Combination of giant dog, muscular bear, and large ape. The creature is said to take its name from either an Old English word shuka, which means demon, and which we have seen already, also as a link to the nearby Shukbora Hall, Shepherdshire, or B, an old East Coast term, Shucky, that translates to modern day terminology as hairy or shaggy. Shucky, okay, the shag monkey, huh? Maybe the name is even born out of a curious melding of both terms, but whatever the true nature of the name applied to the foul, hairy entity, its presence in the woods of Suffolk is enough to strike deep terror in the hearts of those souls unfortunate enough to be there. Now let's take a trip to Loch Ness, Scotland, the home of the legendary Nessie. Just like the Bigfoot creatures, the Dogman, the Shag monkey, the Loch Ness monsters have connections to UFOs. On August 13th, 1971, a notable encounter occurred at Loch Ness, not with a monster, but with a UFO. The witness was once Graham Snape. Right? Graham here. Told Nessie's seeker, told Ted Holiday that he had saw an unidentified object crossing the skies above Loch Ness in the left to the right fashion quickly and with not even a bit of accompanying noise. That somewhat circular-shaped UFO with purple with a white center. By his own admission, Snap was unsure of the size of the object, but suggested it was around 5 feet in diameter. Lots Loch Ness weirdness hit the news in 2011, specifically in August of that year. The UK's Daily Express paper splashed a headline, across its pages that read, "Alert, UFO is sighted over Loch Ness." The story was undoubtedly an odd one. That something occurred does not appear to be in doubt is, however, the nature of something that remains open to debate. It was on the night of August 20th, 2011, that a number of people, many being completely independent of each other, encountered something unusual. Over Loch Ness. In the sky over Loch Ness. Or should I say the air over Loch Ness? Witness descriptions of the movements of the object fell into two camps. Those who said they saw Bianca fights the zombies. Aloha, dude. Yes, aloha, Bianca fights the zombies. Thank you for checking in. Feel free to hit that like button for me, as well as please go and hit that bell and hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications. Remember, hitting that like button means more people will see my content. My graphic novel will come out all the sooner, and hitting that bell will give you all, and hitting the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications means that you will see it. You'll see. As well as please go and share this video on Twitter and Facebook, as well as Gab. Now let's get down back to what we were doing. We're talking about ufology versus cryptozoology. Why these people insist on debating one way or another that Bigfoot has nothing to do with aliens, even though a lot of alien abductees have sworn they've seen creatures like Bigfoot, or Bigfoot has been around where there's been lots of UFO activity, or such things as that. Cryptozoology does the same thing with cryptids, saying they have nothing to do with UFOs, while others say they do. Let's get back to this article and read about it. The UFOs fell into two camps. Those who said they saw it's descending into the loch, and those who maintained it was actually hovering above the expansive waters. As for the appearance of the UFO, it very much depended on who one asked. But whatever it was, it quickly caught the attention of the emergency services, who were, basically called by worried locals. Martin Douglas of the Loch Ness lifeboat crew told the Daily Mail that someone in the area had seen what specifically at least resembled a micro light of a hang glider, which is actually seemed to enter the loch in a controlled flight. Oddly, however, others who saw the unknown craft described it as being somewhat balloon-shaped. Then there were those who opened. It looked eerily like a fully open parachute. There was then no real solid consensus on what was seen or on what wasn't seen. And of course, there's the mountain of point. Yeah, there's the old Mothman. Well, there's the Mothman, West Virginia, that plagued the area from 67 to 67. 66. The weird-eyed monster thing was not the only strange thing seen around the city. Men in black prowled around, terrifying witnesses to UFOs and the Mothman itself. What all of this tells us, including the information is in my Bigfoot UFO article, is that, like it or not, whether strange cryptozoological creatures are seen, so are UFOs. Something there's an answer to all of this, but outright denying the reality of these weird connections between UFOs, aliens, and monsters will get us nowhere. In fact, it'll push us back. There is that to be said as well. Let's look at some more articles on this. In fact, maybe I should go over here. Let's look at this. Oops. There. Versus it's Cryptology versus Ufology. What's the difference? Let's go look at this. Maybe I do this. Get this up here. Just a moment. Let me get back over here, folks. In fact, let's do this. Ooh, we have 2 likes. Feel free to hit that like button, folks. Here's up. It's up. Let's see this. See about these people's opinions on this stuff. Let's see what they have to say. That's if it actually gets up here. Info sites. All right. Cryptozoology and stuff like that. Explore the meaning of cryptozoology and cryptotrophy things. Oops, I think I screwed up this. Oops. There's some cryptography terminology. Is there any difference? I think I screwed up. Ufology versus I spelled it right. Looks like I got it spelled right. Maybe do this again. Let's try this again. UFOs versus cryptids. Let me try this again. Right. Whoa, strange cryptid con camera, buckle up, horror hounds, fact or fiction, celebrating UFOs, phantoms, real lightness, cryptid encounter reports. In fact, let me go back over here. Whoops. We can get it come up. Terrible and spring screams alarm friends in Idaho wilderness. Maybe. Whoops. Let me go back over here. Then maybe let's do this. Just a moment. Let me do this first. Or it was. Oh, I think I remember. Let me try this again. Now I got it right. Zoology versus, well, maybe UFOlogy versus, yeah, let's see, this gets it up there. When cryptozoology clashing, yeah, I got that. Cryptozoology goes turning all parts in one march, yeah, maybe. Paranthology degree, metaphysics institute. Aliens versus Bigfoot, subtile subscene. I might have to look at a few articles that let's see this. Don't worry, folks. I'll get to this in a moment. Making sure this. Tonight we're looking at cryptozoology versus ufology. What's the difference? Why do people insist on making differences? We'll be looking at that tonight, folks. So just give me a moment while I get this up here. I've touched on this subject before and stuff, but I decided to do a dedicated video to it. Cryptozoology versus UFOlogy. Trying to get some more information up here and stuff like that, so I decided just to do. Yeah, no, I spelled it right this time. I'm trying to get it up here. Versus, why not FO? Let's try that. UFOs, the paranormal controversy and connection. There's that as well. Academia versus paranormal researchers. Scholarship degrees do not make experts. Monsters, Zorro, a mind-altering mysterious woman, paranormal TV, the hazards. Let's look at this. Basically, UFOs, the paranormal controversy and connection. This is another article that basically what we're covering tonight. How basically, what's the connection between ufology and the paranormal? So we'll be looking at this. Rich Reynolds, a new post on his UFO conjectures blog titled Ufologists versus Paranormologists. We might go and look at his article itself soon, which begins as follows. I've written about the drive of some in the UFO community to insert UFOs among the weird litany that encompasses the paranormal category. All things outside the normal scheme of things: ghosts, Bigfoot, creatures, sea monsters, men who dress in black, mystical visions of angels, Holy Mary, saints, sinners. Criteria Rich adds attempts to lump UFOs among the queer phenomena that pops up to a few humans have to be thwarted by real UFO aficionados. UFOs are a phenomenon worthy of its own singular attention, not a mystery to be hacked like a carnival ride or sideshow. You can find Rich's article at this link. You say are you sure about that, folks? All other people consider the same things. It's all because this guy wants to say that UFOs have nothing to do with anything else. They're purely aliens from outer space. Is that really true? Could they be from other universes? Could the creatures we see, basically people who said they've seen Mothman or Bigfoot, could these creatures actually be aliens, or at least somehow basically related to them? Could, as I've said before, is there a possibility that Bigfoot is somehow in contact with creatures from another planet? Is Bigfoot actually more intelligent than we give him credit for? Not that he has technology or anything like that. He might. Maybe he's part of a breakaway civilization and they hide from us. But in reality, they don't hide away from from creatures from another planet because they're already in contact with them. They just hide away from humans for one reason or another, even though they have the technology to defend themselves. Because there are reports of Bigfoot disappearing into portals, or just suddenly, basically his footprints will stop in one area, as if he'd basically floated away or basically been, abducted by an alien spaceship. So there might very well be connections between all of these creatures. So let's read deep into this article and find out, folks. I've touched on this subject before in various articles and stuff, various videos I've done, but I decided to do a full-on video about cryptozoology versus ufology and find out what is really going on here about people who basically insist on saying there's nothing in this. Because remember, a lot of people who get into UFOs eventually sign on to the fact there's a good chance that UFOs have more to do with paranormal phenomenon than they do with aliens from outer space. So there's that to be said. Let's see, the guy here and Sif are good mates, but we certainly don't agree on everything. His new article is a perfect example of that. It's important, as I say anyway, to note that Rich's interest in UFOs dates back decades. We're talking about the period in time when UFOs were known as flying saucers and when the aliens referred to as Earthlings and as the people of planet Earth, or was just old, movies, sci-fi movies maybe. We're also talking about times when thriving aliens stole soil by the bucketful, when strange tripod landing marks were found in the fields of irate farmers, and when long-haired know-it-all aliens tried to save us from atomic destruction. Those days are largely gone. Not really, because they keep talking on, and people do see long-haired aliens talking about trying to save us from a nuclear war. Ufology, in many respects, is very different and much stranger, which brings us back to Rich. Sounds like this guys who basically treat UFOs as something completely different from the paranormal are much like scientists, or basically old what's the word I'm looking for? Egyptologists, or what's the other word? Egyptologists and when the people who study ancient structures and stuff like that. I can't remember. Archaeologists. Yeah, how they say there's no connection between UFOs and ancient Egypt, or there's nothing like an ancient civilization. Sound very much like those kinds of guys. They insist on basically putting everything into one box or another because they're worried about ridicule, and basically they think of it as their own religion as well, basically. As I always said, the most important people in the field of ufology are the witnesses, not the radio hosts, not the bloggers, not the authors, and not the researchers. Without witness testimony, we have very little to go on in terms of what the UFO phenomenon is or might be, and what is up to, and like it or not. There are far more than a few cases of record which do suggest a connection between UFO issue and what we might call a paranormal connection between UFOs issues and what we might. To ignore the weird side of ufology is in essence self-censorship. Of course, there is nothing new about its paranormal connection. Check out just one example of many. John Keel's 1970 book, UFO Operation Trojan Horse. Keel made it very clear that there are crossovers between ufology and other supernatural phenomenon. And Rich refers to men who dress in black. Rich may not like it. In fact, I'm sure he doesn't, but the vast majority of all MIB encounters have nothing to do with visits from the likes of government agents. Things would be much simpler if they were. NSA or CIA, the real MIB are often pale and cadaverous. They don't seem to be fully self-aware. There are reports of UFO witnesses falling sick after encountering the MIB, sometimes seriously so. 2 other witnesses tell of violent poltergeist activity in their home after the MIB have left. People feel mind-controlled and hypnotized by the men in black. Rich also makes a mention of the Bigfoot creatures. Yes, the Bigfoot UFO phenomenon is without a doubt, without at all a highly controversial one. Indeed, I know for sure that the vast majority of Bigfoot seekers in the field of cryptozoology absolutely cringe when the Sasquatch and saucers issue rears its problematic head. But with the truth of the matter is that there are a lot of Bigfoot UFO cases on record. Stan Gordon wrote an article about the subject of silent invasion. It's essential for reading for those who want to learn more about the phenomenon. Links to the Bigfoot issue. I could go on and on. I will for a while. There are cases in which alien abductees have seen dead friends, relatives on board UFOs. Abductees talk about the soul or life force being ripped up from their bodies. Strange synchronicities abound in ufology. It's possible to interact with entities that many perceive as alien via the likes of DMT. There is no need for our strange visitors to land on the lawns of White House. They have far weirder ways of interacting with us at personal level. Disturbing cases of paranormal possession have been reported by UFO witnesses. All of this is far removed from what I think Rich prefers ufology to be, which is, I suspect, the days when likes of, Donald Kehoe, Donald Ed Rippert, and Apro when Wilkin, okay, all right, Donald Kehoe, Harold Donald Kehoe, and Harold here were flying high back when it was all nuts and bolts spaceships, rocket ships, even not now though. But like I said, the witnesses are the people who we need to listen to, as they are the ones who had the experience. And even though it might be sit well with many of the reality of the situation, is that there really is far more to ufology than just us earthlings. Yeah, because there's so much more to it. What is reality is? What do aliens and have talks with ultra terrestrials? Is all this basically part of maybe highly advanced beings living on Earth, both magical and both maybe from beyond this world, from even beyond this universe? Could there be creatures like angels and demons that interact as well with us? And are all these creatures, are aliens aware of demons? Are they somehow related, or are they not? Or do they know of each other? What is the reality of this? Because a lot of these cases do, for some odd reason, have a lot of similarities with them. People who have seen aliens have had poltergeist activities in their homes. What does this mean? What could it be? Let's see. But like I said, the witnesses, that it might not, really. So there really is far more, these sort of things being visited by terrestrials, equivalent of NASA. It being visited by the extraterrestrials. Yep. There's a lot more to it. Let's see. Maybe it sounds like this guy's article is basically saying that there's no connection between UFOs and creatures from another. UFOs and cryptozoology, basically saying that there's no way that there's any way that cryptozoology has anything to do with them paranormal or anything like that. How all of this stuff is nuts and bolts. How these cryptids are basically flesh and blood animals that no one's basically been misidentified or never been properly documented by humans. But in reality, there could very well be the fact that these creatures could be ghosts. I mean, yeah, Bigfoot very well could be some sort of ghost of a long extinct hominid creature that continues to be seen by modern man. Or it could also be all of it. Bigfoot could be a lost humanoid hominid, but there could also be ghosts of him there could be ghosts of Bigfoot that have basically remained on Earth, as well as maybe somehow there could be alien Bigfoots. Maybe there's somehow alien half-breeds, and the aliens are creating them for one reason or other to basically study Bigfoot out in the wild. It could be like that, because there are reports of UFOs releasing Bigfoot into the wild. So it could very well be as well. There's also the talk about the three-toed Bigfoot, basically different from regular Bigfoots. Instead of having 5 toes like humans, they have 3 toes, but they otherwise look like Bigfoot. And this could be the hybrids or maybe machines, robots created by the aliens to study Bigfoot. Could be. It's all very interesting to read and to think about. Do I really want to read this guy's article about how he doesn't think UFOs have anything to do with cryptozoology or anything like this? Maybe go back over here. I'll come back to this article in a moment, maybe if I want to. Academic versus paranormal researchers, graduate degrees do not make experts. Yeah. I know. On the paranormal. There is that as well to be said. But we're talking about how cryptozoologists versus UFOs and stuff like that. Maybe look at cryptids and paranormal. normal. Let's try that. Let's go look at this. Okay, maybe do this. Cryptids, paranormal. Get this. Oh, well, I misspelled it. Paranormal. Cryptozoology, paranormal things, and the people who pursue them. I might have read this article before, but let's see about this a bit. Got 45 minutes in. We're having some fun. Let's see. Have you guys hit that like button for me? No. If you have not hit that like button for me yet, folks, please do so. It really helps me fight the algorithm so more people can see my content. Okay? We're looking at cryptozoology versus ufology. What is the connections between these two different disciplines? How the people who basically look into this stuff insist that cryptids have nothing to do with UFOs. How they're basically, well, as I've said before, misidentified or basically undocumented animals that have never been encountered by humans before. While, in fact, there are a lot of basically weird stories of these various cryptids having supernatural powers, more akin to something from a paranormal account or from UFOs themselves, or basically people encountering these various creatures on UFOs. Now, much like people who have been kidnapped by aliens, so they've seen giant black dogs or giant black cats or even Bigfoot himself on UFOs. Cryptozoology is studying pursuit of unknown animals. I have to say, though, I much prefer the term monster hunter. For me, cryptozoology as a title is far way too self-important. Maybe. And lofty. I'm sure that if you ask most people what cryptozoology is, they won't have a clue. And why should they? But ask people what a monster hunter is, and they are likely to get it right. Personally, I don't need ology after my name. I kind of like cryptozoology. I think it's a cool name. But Bigfoot Hunter is also good. But cryptozoology does give it a kind of merit. They're likely to get right ology. However, if I did, it would probably be barrelology. That's definitely one I'm totally fine with, but I digress. Let's get back to the matter of cryptozoology. The people over at Gaia say, according to Lauren Coleman, the director of the International Cryptozoology Museum in Portland, Maine, cryptozoology literally means the study of hidden, unknown animals. Interesting. Hidden or unknown animals, or hidden unknown animals. Only 1.8 million of the presumed 9 million species on the planet have been identified. That means that there are something like 7.2 million unique animals yet to be discovered. Thus, cryptozoology, often derided as a pseudoscience, is in fact a necessary and cutting-edge pursuit. That is true. That is quite true. And I can understand why people would go out and do that. But people need to do that because a lot of scientists aren't doing that. And if they do it, they are being cryptozoologists pursuing these unknown creatures. Yeah, it's necessary to do this, basically, because a lot of animals are left that have never been identified. But there are links that a lot of these creatures, a lot of these animals they are pursuing might be supernatural in nature. All good, totally in fact, but what happens when some of the mini cryptids that me, my friends, and my colleagues go looking for start to act in a fashion that suggests they may not be animals at all, at least not in the way we interpret the word animal? Take Bigfoot, for example. Most Bigfoot seekers will tell you that the creatures are a known type of apes or surviving pockets of known ancient apes said to be extinct, and that's it. Things become problematic, however, when those giant apes don't operate in the ways we expect them to. For example, there are big reports of Bigfoot beasts seen in close proximity to UFOs. Those who get too close to the animals report feeling disoriented, and occasionally Bigfoot witnesses will have a few seconds of what we might call missing time. Missing time, huh? The theory that the creatures have, zapped the victims with a good dose of infrasound, which is let me get through this, which low frequency that can affect the human nervous system to a potentially dangerous degree. I have even a few stories of people who seeking Bigfoot only for them to vanish in a flash of light. Yeah, there is that too. Yeah, as I said before, Bigfoot have basically been seen as if they teleported away or basically been abducted by aliens. I even have a few stories of people seeking Bigfoot. Yeah. Only for them to vanish in a flash of light. Such cases and reports are in the absolute minority. There are no doubt about it, but such reports do exist, like it or not. Arguably, if things are just apes, there shouldn't be any reports of the weird type at all. People don't report seeing gorillas or chimpanzees vanishing in bright flashes, so why should a USA-based ape be any different? It shouldn't. If it's just an ape, that is. There are those controversial dogmen that never seem to go away. Take a look at the drawing of the animals, and the first thing you'll think of is a werewolf, except there is barely a dogman case in record which involves someone shape-shifting into such a creature. Not that such a thing is possible anyway. Almost exclusive, the dogmen, we presume the dog women too, appear to be nothing less than some kind of upright wolf. That would be enough to raise the eyebrows of most people, but what happens when, as you study the cases, you stumble on a very curious trend? The dogmen are seen at sacred sites such as ancient mounds, turn up at crossroads and old bridges, cemeteries too. These are all locations traditionally tied to paranormal activity and supernatural entities. Moving on, how about lake monsters? Let's focus on the world's most famous creature of the deep, Nessie. Many Nessie seekers are intent on keeping their research purely science-based. Screw that. Take a look at the overall story of Nessie, and you'll see that the beast or beasts of the loch has more than a few paranormal aspects attached to it. Like long-dead Nessie pursuer Ted Holliday, complained about how cameras failed to work at the crucial time. Nessie pursuer, huh? All right. At the crucial moments, or that photos came out fogged. Bad luck and ill health seems to be part of the story too. Aleister Crowley owned a house on the loch, below the house, at which he performed all kinds of entertaining and sinister rituals, and rites of UFOs are seen over the loch. Right. The aforementioned Ted Holliday's encountered nothing less than a man in black at the loch in the 1970s. In my view, the best way to find the Nessie is to not hire a mini submarine or to invest in some expensive sonar equipment. My way to invoke the stranger things? Yes, basically do magic there. So now we're getting towards the end. Here's my view on all of this. Bigfoot, Nessie, and the Dogman, and multiple others, cryptids too, have all displayed supernatural overtones. Keeping that in mind, should they be thrown out of the world of cryptozoology, or if you strictly think that cryptozoology is only for the study of unknown flesh and blood animals, then yes, they should be ejected. Why? Because even though it's a very small scale, the fact is that these things do occasionally display aspects of the paranormal. However, if you don't want Bigfoot and all the rest thrown out, I'd tell you what to do, except that cryptozoology is not just the study of unknown animals, it's much stranger than that. And also accept that by pursuing Nessie, Bigfoot creatures, and upright wolves, you are actually becoming an investigator of the supernatural, the paranormal, and the occult, whether you accept it or even realize it. With all that said, I'll close with the following: suggest that the word cryptozoology should be replaced with weirdoology. Everyone will understand that one, and as a new devotee of the occult and the supernatural, you will no longer have to worry about all those embarrassing tales of Bigfoot taking to the controls of a flying saucer or a dogman dancing around a stone circle. That sounds interesting, huh? Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Thank you for checking in for that. But yeah, what is with this? What is with the UFOs and cryptozoology? Are they related to each other? I think they are as well. Do fairies exist? Do aliens exist? Are they somehow related to each other? If so, what is the connection? Are there fairy creatures living on other planets? Are there humans living on other planets? Because we ourselves have been seen out in outer space. So this is also something else to consider. So is it possible all these stories we think as fairy tales actually are true? That there are such things out there that have such bizarre powers and abilities that they come off as magic, and we just think of it as advanced science, but in reality is advanced magic, or is all science related to each other in some fashions? That if a science is so advanced, it is basically functional magic. That can also be real. Or plainly, as I said, does actual magic exist? And what is with the connections with all these creatures with each other? Do these various creatures interact with each other, or are they somehow, or is the fact that somehow when a human sees a UFO, are they somehow more prone to basically having contact with ghosts or other supernatural entities? Does it somehow draw them to each other? There's that to consider as well. So there could very well be connections that are very entertaining to read about and to learn more about all of this. Yet when you look into it, you realize there really are weird connections between all of this. Okay, but what are the connections? Well, they're all basically about non-human entities, except for the ones that do, except for the stories about people encountering humans from outer space. So there's that as well to consider. Yeah, I'd say there's a good chance all of this is actually connected, and whatever that means maybe these creatures come from another dimension or from another planet, or that somehow on that other planet there are also these supernatural entities as well. Maybe aliens interact with ghosts on their own planet and then come here and basically interact with us, as well as interacting with us as various spirits as well. But if there is such activity on their own planets, why come here? Maybe they're intrinsically tied with each other, and you can't get one without the other. If an alien comes here, maybe it brings something that also affects the environment and allows people to see ghosts. Now, folks, I'm going to thank you for joining me. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you, okay? Remember that there is misspelled, right? Please make sure you're still subscribed and hit that like button for me because it helps me fight the algorithm, all right? So more people can see my content, and that means my graphic novel will come out to you all the sooner. It's not up on Indiegogo yet, but when it is, please go and back Scumdogs, will you? You're going to love my book. As well as please go and leave some comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Hit that bell and hit the part of the bell that gives you, hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications for my videos. And please go share this video on Twitter and Facebook. Also, please go and subscribe to my Rumble channel on rumble.com. The name of my Rumble channel is Comic Freak. As I upload all my videos to rumble.com, as well as please go and subscribe to my BitChute channel. I also upload all my videos to my BitChute channel, and the name of my BitChute channel is Comic Freak. All right. Also, please go and subscribe to Stitch Together Picks. Stitch Together Picks is a great YouTube channel that's hosted by the maniacal cinephile. You're going to love his reviews of movies. He does such great content. You're going to love him. That's Stitch Together Picks. Go and subscribe to him. As well as please go and subscribe to the YouTube channel known as Creepy Little Book. Creepy Little Book is like the Art Bell radio show. He does live streams every night. But he also does little videos talking about high strangeness. Now, he live streams every night. On weekdays, he live streams at 12:30 a.m. and on weekends at 10 o'clock p.m. and 3 o'clock a.m. He talks about aliens and ghosts, and learns so much from watching his live streams. They are great. You learn so much from watching him. He does a new topic every night, so there's that to consider. Right now, what else to say? I did that. Also, remember, folks, I'll be back again tomorrow around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, 8, 9, or 10 o'clock p.m. for another live stream. So be sure to come back again then. Now, other stuff to say, anything else? Am I forgetting anything? Well, we had a fun night tonight, so we did that. So remember, folks, we talked about the links between cryptozoology and ufology and wondering what the actual connection is. So there's that we did tonight. We had a lot of fun. If you have not yet, folks, please hit that like button for me. It really helps me fight the algorithm so more people can see my content, which means my own graphic novel, Scumdogs, will come out all the sooner for you and stuff. All right. And remember, folks, my graphic novel, Scumdogs, is not done yet, but when it is, I'm working on it every day, but when it is, go back on Indiegogo. Now, we're coming to the end of this live stream. We had a lot of fun tonight. A lot of fun. We'll talk about various things and stuff. It's always good to have you guys join me, and I can't thank you enough for leaving me a few chats to talk with you guys about, and I love to talk with you guys. It's just so much fun to do so. Now we'll be ending my live stream in just a moment. So I'll just continue to talk on and have a little more fun with you guys before we end this off. Remember, folks, leave me a few more chats or leave me some comments down below, because as I said, leave me chats in my next live stream because I'd love to hear from you guys. And here we go. All right, folks, I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you all again soon.